the thing about it is I think part of the reason, honestly, on this one, the reason that it is being resisted by Republicans so much is because it's so front loaded with like legalese woke language.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for being with us today. This is the Deviance Welcome Podcast, brought to you by Volatile Patience. I am John, and with me, as always, my co-host, Cell. Say hi to the people, Cell.
Hi, the people.
Fantastic. Today is, well, I guess this week is a cause for celebration. We decided this week we are going to do a topic that makes us happy.
Hey!
I know, it's weird. I promise. Don't go away. We're still going to make fun of people. We're still going to be the crotchety bastards you expect us to be. But today is a celebratory event for us on Deviance Welcome. To that point, that feels good. That's right. In case you didn't notice, I've been smoking cannabis on this podcast for 56 episodes now. If you didn't notice, what the fuck are you doing? But we are doing this specifically because we're going to talk about... Wow.
My rookie.
Damn. Cell has no tolerance. And also forgot how to hit pipes without coughing.
I've never been able to hit pipes without coughing.
Okay, so we wanted to discuss the House's decision to pass a bill for decriminalization of cannabis use. That's on a federal level.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Michigan, it's been legalized for recreational use for, I think, almost 2 years now.
At least a couple years, yeah.
I think a couple years now. So...
I guess the last vote.
Right, yeah. A couple years now. So, I mean, for us, nothing's going to change. But
we don't have to worry about the feds coming in.
Right.
That's about it.
But on a federal level, this is it's already passed the House. Now, I don't want to get your hopes up. It's not going to pass the Senate.
It's probably
They're already bitching.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to get into that, I promise. Remember I told you we're going to be crotchety bastards? We're going to.
All but 3 fucking Republicans voted against it in the House.
Right. But some things about this particular bill are, let's see, the bill would remove marijuana from the list. I don't like the fact that it's marijuana because my co-host here turned me on to something, and I've been using cannabis religiously since then. The bill would remove cannabis from the list of scheduled substances and remove any criminal penalties for those who make, distribute, or possess cannabis.
Yes.
The quote I pulled said marijuana, but I'm using cannabis.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. Not only is it going to decriminalize it, but we're actually talking about like getting people out of jail that don't need to fucking be there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and here's the thing is like there were like 2 Democrats that voted against it, and one of them actually legitimately had a pretty fair point as to why he voted against it. And that point was that very language that you were talking about doesn't include people who were, does the language as it currently exists does include people who were selling to minors. And he wanted an amendment to change the language a little bit so that it did not include people who sold to minors.
Totally fair.
Which I think is a fair point.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
I smoked as a minor.
Sure.
Right? I did. I smoked as a minor.
Of course I did.
But when it comes down to it,
now you're a parent.
Right. Now I'm a parent. And that's exactly what it is.
Now you're a grown-up.
That's exactly what it is. Like, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it's just perfectly okay for minors to be engaging in drug use, but it's going to fucking happen.
Right.
But I feel like there is a bit of a difference for, between an adult selling to a minor and a minor selling to another minor.
Absolutely.
Right? There's a difference there.
There's a difference there.
In terms of morality, responsibility, like all of these things come into play. So
Sure.
I could totally, I totally get behind that.
Yeah.
Don't be selling to kids. That's fucked up.
I mean, we're
Smoke
legal.
your weed.
We're legal. It's probably harder for kids to get weed now than it's ever been.
Absolutely.
Because, like, now the adults are getting it from the dispensaries.
Right.
And, you know, the black market, I'm sure it's still there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
To some degree or another. Because you've got people who are basically growing their own that might sell to whoever.
Of course.
Whether they should be or not.
Right.
You know. But it's still, at the end of the day, probably harder. Because at this point, if you've got a grow operation in your house legally, if you're going to sell it to your friends or whatever that are adults, that's one thing. If you sell it to a kid, now you're potentially bringing attention to your otherwise legal grow operation.
Right. Well, and I mean, even selling to adults, it would be the same type of thing as it always was. If people are cycling in and out of your house and only staying for 5 minutes, the cops know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, they're not stupid.
But they might not care as much anymore.
Maybe
not. You
not.
could just show up to smoke and then bounce.
That's true. But that's also illegal. No, it's not.
Oh, well,
because
right,
operating with
the person
operating under influence, I believe it falls under.
Yeah, but that's the person who's driving away. That's not the person who is, you know what I mean? Like,
I wonder how that would work. If they would charge then the person who is doing it too, because it's kind of like you're being a bartender who's over serving. It's not exactly the same thing.
Right.
In any way. But like, I wonder if the stretch could be made. I'm sure the lawyers could twist it if they really wanted to.
That's for future legal cases, and I'm not going to try and litigate that in this room.
Right, absolutely.
This room is orange. This is not the place that you litigate.
That's good stuff. Let's see. Another part of the MORE Act, as they're calling it.
Yeah, stupid name for a fucking act.
Of course.
As far as the acronym goes, anyway.
Right.
The full version is like the modernizing, blah, 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 modernizing and organizing, whatever the fuck it was. I don't remember what the fuck it was called.
I don't know.
I don't remember the words. They were dumb.
The MORE Act also, it would allow people who have been convicted of cannabis-related offenses to receive public benefits now.
Okay.
So, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because let's face it.
Yeah.
People of color are the ones getting locked up a lot more for it.
And, you know, and here's the thing about that. And this is something that I was looking at when I was reading. I read, like, the first couple pages of the legislation of the bill itself, right? Just the raw.
Yeah, you went through the legalese of it.
Yeah. And the thing about it is I think part of the reason, honestly, on this one, the reason that it is being resisted by Republicans so much is because it's so front loaded with like legalese woke language.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it is framed that way from the beginning.
Right.
Which, don't get me wrong, is true and accurate as far as I'm concerned.
But it's woke.
But if you're trying to sell it to Republicans, especially Republican legislators, when 70% of them agree, at least as far as the common Joe Schmo Republican, 70% agree weed should be legalized.
Absolutely.
Right? So the fact that you're getting resistance from this is purely, in my opinion, because it was framed from the beginning in that woke language, like woke version of legalese.
Woke, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anything that could be
kind of framing.
And I feel like if any Republican, even one, it only takes one. One Republican calls something woke, whether it is or not, quote, woke.
Right.
Then it is automatically labeled woke.
Right.
And you are immediately drawing battle lines.
Yes.
Here is your line right here. This is woke.
That's it.
Disney is woke today. We're not going to Disney anymore. Like, damn. I kind of want a Disney ticket now. Y'all aren't going to be there? Shit. Let's see. Another part of it that I found interesting was that the MORE Act would impose a federal tax on cannabis sales with proceeds funding programs for substance misuse treatment and legal counseling to help communities negatively impacted by the war on drugs, which are overwhelmingly communities of color.
Right.
You lost the war on drugs. Just stop. Stop spending the money on it. Just stop.
Stop pretending.
There was a meme a year ago or something like that out, and I think Flint was one of the first decriminalized zones in Michigan.
Okay.
And an old police department had been transformed into a dispensary. It was like, you lost the war on drugs. Okay? You lost. It's over.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And this is so pointless. We are not talking about heroin here.
Right.
We are not talking about something that is
bathtub brew PCP.
Right. We're not talking about stuff like they're not Tide Pods, right? These are like, this is okay stuff. I would argue to like my dying breath, if that were the case, that cannabis is far safer on the regular to straight up abuse than alcohol.
Sure.
Than nicotine.
Sure.
And those are mass marketed.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, let's see. We have 37 states are already legalized for medical.
Yep.
18 states.
In case you're doing the math, that's the majority.
That's the majority. That's for medical.
Medical, sure.
18 states, including DC.
Yes.
And Guam, are legal for recreational.
Right.
I was like, we're already trending in that direction. What is the holdup? It said, I found a poll from, granted, April 2021. But I found a poll that said 91% of U.S. adults agree that it should be legal for medical or recreational. Like 91% of adults in this country are like, yeah, why are we still doing this?
Right.
And the publicans are like, because we hate black people. They're not saying that.
I mean,
of
really,
course,
that's kind of it at this
but
point.
yeah,
You
like
know
if
what I
I'm
mean?
not at
Like-
all beating around the bush, you know?
Right.
I feel like that's the case because there's no reason for us to still be even having this discussion.
Right.
I mean, there was a time
This whole podcast shouldn't exist because there shouldn't be anything to bitch about.
we should have had to talk about something else. We should have been giving you a rip into the conservatives for boycotting Disney this week, but
or we
instead
could talk
we're doing
about
this.
Will Smith getting fucking 10 years banned from the Academy Awards for the slap. Whatever the fuck that is.
Right.
It's fucking stupid.
You'll have to wait for the month in review. Sorry. Show up the last week of April. We got you. Send us a message and let us know what you want us to talk about during that one. And if you want it, we'll cover it. But I mean, there's really no reason that it shouldn't be legalized. And especially in places where it is legalized, the economic boom is insane. You're looking at billions.
Billions.
Not to mention the fact that we
Millions
had talked
in like
about
the first day.
right. And we had talked briefly earlier about, the black market.
Yeah.
And how it's still existing. But cannabis prices, especially in Michigan, they're starting to go down.
Sure.
Because there are dispensaries fucking everywhere now. Everywhere.
And that
I've
was like
mentioned
the
it-
thing that the black market still had going for it was cheap prices.
And I've mentioned it on this podcast. Before, there were 3 dispensaries that I could throw a rock to from my house. Now, there are 5.
Oh, wow.
And the first legal cannabis lounge is being opened up less than a mile from my house.
Nice.
I live in Cannabis Central now. And it wasn't that way when I moved here. It was just the best place to find glass because it had a glass store for my entire life.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Right.
But now it's everywhere. So the prices are coming down and that's getting rid of the black market.
Right.
Because if you don't have to go black market, why would you?
Right. Why do it the hard
Really,
way?
when it comes down to it, because
not the
with
hard way,
black
but you know what I
market,
mean?
yes,
Like
you will
the
find
risk way.
you'll find that friend, that drug dealer that you trust.
Sure.
Right? But there's always the potential that you're getting something unsafe.
I mean, there's that, but really what it comes down to is why even deal with the potential interaction with the cops
Right.
at that level
Right.
at this point when you can just pull the permit
Yeah.
and do it.
Well, and you still have the bit back to the unsafe part. Like you still get that. Some dispensaries are having recalls. They had a recall last year because everybody in Michigan, myself included, had a big issue with white powder mildew.
Oof.
Which is not as bad as it seems. It's not like a botrytis, which will kill you immediately.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But it is the type of thing that you don't want on something you're smoking.
Yeah.
So they had to recall it, a ton of it, and some of that stuff went out. So you still have a little bit of that risk. But even if you have it, don't go to that place anymore. There's another one a block over. It's everywhere.
Well, I mean, the big thing is like, at this point, anybody who was doing anything black market, they scaled down to whatever the legal level is, and now they're supplying those dispensaries. You know what I mean? Like that's part of it too.
That's tough.
You know what I mean?
That's a lot of money, though. That's the thing. Like,
but they don't have the risk that comes from cops anymore. They can legally have those lights in their basement.
No, but
you
you,
know what I
got to
mean?
pay way more than 6 figures for that, and it can't be in your basement. Yeah, I've looked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've looked.
Oh,
In
look at
order
you.
to just to get the application, the application fee to file the application to see if you can apply for a cannabis business.
No,
which
no,
is
not the business itself. I'm saying supplying the business.
Right.
Being their okay.
But in order to do that, you have to have a license.
Okay.
The first license.
Okay.
The first one.
Okay.
Level 1.
Gotcha.
The application fee is $40,000.
Woo!
And they can tell you no.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
You got to be willing to eat $40K right then.
Woo.
So it's obviously geared toward the rich people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to pay a shit ton. And that's one of the reasons I haven't even considered getting that business loan.
Sure.
Like, I'd love to. And I can customer service the fuck out of that. I would be a killer owner of a cannabis dispensary. People would love me, but I can't afford that startup capital. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But to the point, it's kind of getting rid of the black market too.
Sure.
The reasons for far outweigh any possible reasons against. And there aren't really any good ones that I can think of.
I mean, there's always the 13th Amendment. The exception clause in the 13th Amendment, which is that anybody or nobody can be forced to do labor unless or except as punishment for a crime.
How does that apply here?
Because if it's illegal, then you can still now apply a crime that basically legalizes slavery. You're talking about the reasons to keep it illegal.
Right.
And I was just saying, this is what the reason probably is, the 13th Amendment. Why are you looking confused?
Because I don't politics the way you do.
Okay.
You got to break this down dumbass style.
I just did. The 13th Amendment is it is illegal to make anybody have anybody do forced labor except as punishment for a crime. So
Right.
if you keep weed illegal, which is the only reason you would want to resist this is as a way to keep it illegal, is so that you can make people who we've already pointed out earlier are predominantly communities of color into legalized slave labor.
Okay, now I see. See, I thought you were tying it into cannabis dispensaries. I didn't think you were talking about the slave labor that happens in every prison in the country. I mean, the imprisonment and punishment.
Yeah.
That's that's what the prompter says. But I say legal slavery.
I thought we had shifted that.
No.
As to why people would resist it. I
No.
swear to God you said that.
You didn't take me with you.
Damn it.
We almost got there.
I thought
but you
I was
didn't take me with you
jumping off of your segue.
Nope.
Damn it.
But that's okay, because I'm going to jump off that segue. We had mentioned, you know what? I did kind of mention it, but I didn't think we had gone that far.
Yes, I caught it too early.
Back to the point. There aren't really any good arguments against, but I did find a very funny article.
Oh, God.
From 2021 that were like the top 5 arguments against cannabis legalization.
Oh, Jesus.
Right?
All right, hang on a
Just
second. Let me.
Yeah. Get yourself ready. Crack that neck. He's getting ready like he's looking at a prize fight, y'all. I've never seen him move this much. And all he's doing is stretching.
Dude. Oh, fuck. Right in the mid-stretch. That's the part
right.
where I'm mad about.
I apologize for that. I didn't think I was going to get you like that. That was rude and my mistake.
It was funny.
I apologize for ruining your stretch, but I don't
funny.
apologize for the joke.
I involuntarily had to laugh mid-stretch. It was a good one.
So here we go. Top 5 arguments against legalization of cannabis.
Oh, God. Hang on a second. I didn't stretch enough for this shit.
You already had this. Come on now.
We got distracted. Go ahead.
Number 1, pot is bad for you.
So is sugar.
Yep. And I don't know how you even prove that.
Who cares? So is sugar.
But, like, cigarettes kill 1,100 Americans per day. 88,000 people die each year from alcohol abuse. Sugary drinks kill over 184,000 Americans annually. And eating Hot Pockets kill more people each week than were killed in the entire Vietnam War. Both sides. That's weird to think about.
What?
I think I've had one Hot Pocket my whole life. But I took that from the article.
How are they that deadly?
Right? I'm glad I don't eat them.
I need to find this shit out.
Both sides.
Right.
So, even if you could prove that, I'd really question your research because, well, there's plenty of things that are already on the market that are going to kill you far quicker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in a lot worse ways.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you're dying from cannabis, one, I'd be really impressed to know how that went.
Yeah.
it's either laced with something or you manage to smoke an amount that, like, there's no physical way for you to you would fall asleep.
You smoke yourself sober first.
You would completely fall asleep, like, before you had a chance at all of overdosing from smoking. There's no way. The biggest danger you'd have is you'd fall asleep trying to overdose, and your joint would burn the house down when it touched the carpet when you fell asleep. That's it.
Your house garden goes up in flames, and you actually...
Oh, my God. Don't even talk like that. Don't even talk like that. Nope. Don't you... knock on wood. Can't have it.
Anyway,
a rookie.
Cause of death,
like that
smoke
happens.
inhalation.
Right, of course. Yeah. Let's see. Number 2.
Oh, God, that was just the first one.
Oh, yeah. Of 5.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Number 2. It's a gateway drug.
Only because it's illegal.
Yeah, of course.
Boom. Done. Problem solved.
Let's see. I remember it was asked in an interview once. Someone asked about how it's a gateway drug, and the public figure said it leads to opioid usage. So the alternative is then to keep it illegal and just prescribe the opioids, right?
That is some mind-boggling logic, but okay.
Right? That's what I'm saying. That doesn't make any fucking sense. It does, because they can create the opioids. Somebody's getting paid to make those. Somebody's getting paid that's presumably paying taxes.
Well, that's what they're doing with pot.
There was a 40-year study from the Baker Institute that showed that alcohol is far more likely to progress to substance abuse than cannabis. I would argue, based on just my knowledge alone, the evidence I've collected in my years on the planet, that cannabis does far more to get people off bad drugs or those hard substances.
Addictive narcotics.
Yeah, does far more to get people off those addictive substances than it does to put someone closer.
I mean,
like, when you smoke a joint, you sit on the couch and you're like, I want Doritos. You're not like, I want heroin.
Sugar.
What? Right.
Maybe that's how did they control for sugar in the
maybe that's
these pot bad for you studies?
Right. Of course.
and the subsequent munchies.
Yeah, like, I've seen at least 3 people off the top of my head that I can think of that have kicked a heroin addiction, various degrees.
Sure.
Some severely addicted, some mildly.
Right.
But have kicked that drug really with the help of cannabis.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's 0 for 2.
I feel like...
Not like I'm actually giving these arguments much credence.
I feel like that one was just, it's the proximity to the heroin dealer, because they're the same guy that creates the gateway.
I suppose.
If you put it in a dispensary where there's not heroin...
Right.
Then you now have a situation where it is a gatekeeping drug, not a gateway drug.
Right.
Just like alcohol is. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, number 3, it's much more powerful than it used to be.
Good.
Oh, no. You have to moderate your intake like a grown-up.
Right.
Whatever will you do?
Well, and
the person that made that argument is the one who has to be carried out of the bar by his driver, like every weekend or every,
Right. Well, and here's the big thing on that one is that one, even if it's true, like, it is true, there's no doubt about it. It is true. It's more powerful than it used to be.
Absolutely. And the concentrates make it, even more so. It's more concentrated.
Sure. Which negates portion 1, or issue number 1 in terms of how bad for you it is, right? Because it's not the THC that's bad for you; it's the fucking other fibrous shit that you're burning up and inhaling.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's smoke inhalation from fucking burning leafy shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part that's bad for you. Which means now, if you're getting more of the active substance and less of the leafy shit, and you don't have to smoke as much leafy shit. You've now, the fact that it is more powerful than it used to be reduces how dangerous it used to be.
Right. And an added point to that, those of us who had to deal through the black market only era, right? We know what it's like to smoke dryer sheet weed.
Ugh.
That sucked. That's danger right there, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Ooh.
At least that, just the taste of that in your mouth is danger.
When you can tell what brand of fucking dryer sheet it was packed with, that's not good. But I mean,
I didn't know anybody to be a dryer sheet connoisseur, just off the rip.
Well, and if you think about it, it's how many times have you actually bought from a dispensary?
Oh, I haven't at all, but that's because I just recently started being able to do it again. You know what I mean? Like, job situation shifted on that front.
Well, everything comes with a label now.
Yeah.
Everything comes with it. This is the THC percentage.
Yeah.
Here it is. Moderate your fucking intake.
Right.
Just
Ratios
like proof
of THC
on an alcohol
to CBD,
bottle. Right?
all that stuff. Yeah.
Just like proofs on an alcohol bottle.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Be an adult.
Yeah.
That's why the law is 21.
Right.
Be an adult.
Do the math.
Right. Done. Or don't do the math, but pay attention. Right?
Right.
Little bits. You don't take a shot and then 5 minutes later be like, I'm not drunk yet. No.
Right.
You have to take a shot, wait an hour.
No.
If you really want to know what it's like.
No. Here's what you do.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the normal person.
And 5 minutes later, you're like, I'm not even drunk yet. And then you slam the bottle.
One of us has been able to smoke pot this whole time. One of us has had to deal with just alcohol.
Yeah.
And clearly, it's far more dangerous than cannabis. Number 4 was there's no need to legalize another intoxicant. So alcohol, nicotine, and caffeine are legal. I guess the maximum number of legal intoxicants is what, 3?
I mean, why?
Like, we're just capping it there.
Why is there a reason that there should be a cap on legal intoxicants? Like,
there's not.
That has this premise that just because it's an intoxicant, it should be illegal. Why should we not be able to choose to do with our brains and bodies whatever the fuck we want? End of day, as long as I'm not hurting anyone else.
My body, my choice, unless you disagree with me.
Sure. And that's like the line, right there. Like,
right.
If you're not hurting anyone, you're not hurting anyone. There is no victim.
And number 5 would make legalization of cannabis would make a killing off of promoting to unsuspecting kids, like alcohol and cigarettes have done previously and still are doing.
Sort of, but then like some of the more definitely kid-oriented things were banned. You know what I mean? Like, they got rid of Joe Camel.
Yeah, there's...
You know what I mean? Like, that was a thing that, like, for me as a kid was the most influential one as far as, like, cigarette marketing goes, was Joe Camel.
Right.
And... because that's the only one that I knew about. There was a Marlboro Man, but I wasn't into cowboys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But, and I mean, that's the thing. It's like, we just went through the top 5 arguments that we could find, that this article could find. And not a single one of them
is particularly
actually has any sort of validity, really.
Yeah.
It can be explained away in a sentence or 2.
Yeah.
Everything. So, how many Republicans actually voted for it? I forgot.
3.
You mentioned it earlier. 3.
Yeah. And one of them is a friend of the show, Matt Gaetz.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Friend of the show. Friend of the program. Awesome. I mean, it's not going to pass the Senate. It's not. Let's face it. It's not. There's a fucking Manchin or whatever is already looking at not, and he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Because he wants to produce his own cannabis.
Sure.
Like, they can't even get on the same page.
You're probably right about that. The big thing on it is that there is an overwhelming Republican support for legalization.
Let's hope.
Yeah, like the average Joe Republican, 70% of average Joe Republican is on board with legalization. So, like, really, if they can be convinced that it is that they want this more than they want to, like, fight the woke shit.
Could you know what I mean? Hear my eye roll?
Right, but if that's the case, they can put the pressure on their, Congress critters. Hey, this one is not worth triggering the libs over.
Right.
and it can go through.
This is really good for everybody.
If they like it, you know what I mean? Like, if those ones put the pressure on that they need to put on for their fucking senators, it could happen. I don't think it's going to.
I don't think it's going to.
But there is a pathway for it.
Wouldn't it be nice?
You know what I mean? Like, there is a like, if we didn't live in the worst fucking timeline, there is a logical pathway to get there.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Here's hope and fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for checking us out today. This has been Deviance Welcome. You can check out more episodes and get access to the latest everything on the website, volatilepatients.com. There, you can sign up for the mailing list and tell us what kind of topics you'd like to hear. Check out the sock meds if that's your thing, facebook.com/volatilepatientsmusic.
On Twitter at VOLATYLPATIENCE, spelled weird because I am partaking in cannabis, and
That's why.
and I forgot how to spell, but also because Twitter didn't give us enough characters.
Thank you, Twitter.
And spelled normally at volatile_patients on Instagram because Instagram did give us enough characters.
Thank you, Instagram. You can check out the Deviance Welcome YouTube channel at Deviance Welcome or the Volatile Patients specific YouTube channel at Volatile Patients. Check out the Deviance Welcome Facebook group where you can continue the discussion with us. Remember to give us a review on Apple. And yay, the House passed a cannabis bill. Hopefully it'll get past the fucking Senate.
Right.
Fingers crossed. If you're in a red state, press your senators.
Right.
Please, for the love of God, let's just get it done and stop wasting our time.
Please.
And with that, we'll see you next week. Say bye to the people, Sal.
Bye, the people.